SAP HANA Rules Framework modeling tools provide an easy-to-use user interface for the creation of vocabularies and rules. Included in the vocabulary is the ability to define actions and outputs that are processed as a result of the successful determination of a rule. As its name implies, an action will be invoked when a rule triggers in order to perform a task that is relevant to the rule requirements, such as sending an email or an SMS. On the screen currently showing, you can see a vocabulary that I created in a previous lesson. I will use HRF modeling tools to show how outputs and actions can be defined inside this vocabulary. But before you can reference an action in HRF, an SAP HANA Access Engine procedure must be assigned to the action. The procedure creation would normally be undertaken by an application developer. This is an example of an access procedure that was developed in order to send emails. Later in this lesson, I will show you how to associate this procedure with an action I create in the vocabulary. An action is a combination of an action procedure and 0 or more parameters. The parameters are most commonly used to store the context of a rule determination when the action is triggered. Parameter values can be referenced by the action procedure in order to influence what the procedure does. For example, I can create a rule that includes an SMS action and a contact name as a parameter. If the rule is invoked and the rule condition evaluates to true, the action will send the SMS to the specified user. Unlike actions, outputs do not invoke a procedure when the rule is triggered. Output parameters allow the context and results of a successful rule determination to be stored in a HANA table or view under the name of the called rule service associated with the rule. Both actions and outputs support parameters of type text, date, time, timestamp, or number. I am now going to create an output that is specific to this banking example called custom profile. There are two types of parameters that can be added to an output. The first in the section parameters are regular parameters which require their content to be input by the business user when a rule is defined. This sort of parameter is useful when the business user wishes to assign the same output to a set of rules, but to have parameter values that differ from one rule to the next. I've added two regular parameters, marital status and birth date. The second type of parameter are static parameters. These contain rule expression language statements, such as age of the customer. The expression is fixed to the static parameter when it is created and cannot be changed unless the output is edited. Static parameters are invisible during the rule creation process. I've created a static parameter called income with the expression customer.annual income. As previously described, actions differ from outputs in that you need to additionally supply the path to the XSJS library. I previously showed you the XS engine code for a send email action. This has the package path SAP demo store banking action lib and the XS.js library name send email. I enter these details here. The action requires two parameters, both of which are textual. I will add subject and body parameters to the action and save it. Now I can activate the vocabulary. I can open the vocabulary in a text editor to show you the JSON code created by the href tools for an output and action. I scroll down to the relevant section of the file. Here you can see the output defined with a single static parameter and two input parameters. You can also see the two input parameters associated with the action and the reference to the XS.js library. Now I can show you the output and action in operation, and we'll do this by opening the href Web Launchpad application. This rule is a simple decision table rule that will provide us with information on high-earning customers. It has two conditions. The first condition specifies customers with an annual income greater than 70,000, and the second condition indicates the customer's marital status. Therefore, the rule will only evaluate successfully for married or single customers with incomes over 70,000. I will now add the output that I created earlier. I will add the full descriptions married and single into the marital status parameter as plain text. Now I can add rule expression language to determine the customer's date of birth and enter it into the birth date parameter. After completing the output, I will now add the action. I can choose to add actions to one or more of the decision table condition rows, and each condition row can contain a different action. In this example, I'm going to add the action to just one row and send an email that highlights married customers that have a high income. I'll give the email a subject heading of customer profile. I can run the rule from a rule service that I set up specifically for this purpose. We will learn more about rule services in a future lesson. By clicking the test button, I can see the results of the rule determination as an output. The test button does not trigger any actions. It creates a result view showing the determination results and parameters. The output columns have a blue header and show the parameter value results for data records that evaluated the rule condition successfully. You can also see the result of the static parameter income that was not available when creating the rule, but becomes visible as part of the determination process. The Run button is dedicated to running actions in the HRF web interface. If I now select Run, I can invoke the action on rule determination. I get the message that the service was executed successfully. I can now check Outlook and see that an email was created and sent successfully. Thank you for viewing this lesson. I hope it has been useful to you. Please look out for the next lesson we have planned that will describe vocabulary dependencies and aliases.